Hello everyone. Yeah, let's start. So today we'll be talking about the last topic in AWS. I mean the last topic which we'll be discussing in AWS. It's called Route 53. So let's see what is the Route 53 and what it will be used and where. So to keep it simple, Route 53 is a DNS service. What is a DNS service? Domain name service, where you can have your own domain registrations, where you can point your routing to your domain names from your servers or from your ECS clusters or EKS cluster. I mean load balancers, whatever it is, or S3 bucket also, cloud friend. So like we can have our own domains, we can able to buy our own domains here, or if we have any domain outside, like we have multiple providers like GoDaddy famously in India. So we have multiple providers where you can buy register a domain. I mean buy a domain, obviously it will be cost. I don't know how much cost, we'll see, we'll figure it out. So once we have the cost, once we register a domain, we can use this Route 53 to configure the routing. What do you mean configure the routing? We have the domain already. Of course, we have, let's say, domain demo.com as an example. How the this domain knows where your application is? Let's say your application running in ECS or in EKS. Of course, there will be load balancer for that. Then how the hell the domain knows where your load balancer is, right? We have to map them. So we have to map whatever the load balancer is there, or whatever the S3 bucket is there, or whatever what is this cloud front is there. We have to map these things, any of these things based on our requirement, to your domain name. The only domain will know, okay, this is there, I'll need to talk to this guy, and they'll map together. And if you open the domain, of course it will give to you the load balancer, whatever application inside it. Just like everything, if you open Google or Amazon.com, how they are opening, that's a domain name where they're mapping to some load balancer, wherever whatever it is, so wherever they are running. So later they'll map it, and the routing also happens like that. So here, so first thing, domain registration, right? Of course we can't buy, but we'll see how it works. So you can see domains. So click on register domains here. So obviously there will be nothing, because I did not register anything. See, so I can able to register a domain. Or if you don't want it, there is something called GoDaddy. Daddy. Sorry, GoDaddy. This is a website where you can buy your domain names also. That is also fine. So it's from Arizona, okay, US headquarters. So yeah, okay, Indian guy. Yeah, that's okay. So you can able to register here also. First you have to register your account. No, wait, where is, yeah, this is the one. You have to create an account here. Search for any domain name. Let's say my domain name, demo 12345 6 something dot in dot India. Search for domain. It will search for you. Okay, demo 123.in is there. 1 rupee. Of course, if you once you go inside it, it will be like 1800 or something like that. Of course, I have seen it already. I tried it today. So it's not 1 year. So it's fine. So like this, you can able to figure out any domain, whatever you want, search for it, it will give you. Same way, AWS also. Register a domain, right? Register a domain. Search for a domain. What do you want? ABC something X, so whatever it is. I mean X Y Z 123 dot org. I want it. Let's search. See, it's exact match. It is there. $14. I mean, calculate it to Indian. 800 plus 1200 or something. 1230 rupees something. Yeah, that's okay. See, like this, you can figure out any domain. Let's say if it is .com, it will be a little costly. Obviously, let's try. It's not available. Oh, it's already 123 something, some random thing. I'm just trying to search. $14. Yeah, it's fine. So you can find, if you see, there are some other domain names which are costly. .biz is costly, $19. $25. .me .info is $25. 31 .co, $71 .io. See, like this, depends on the domain names, there will be different cost. So let's say I want this domain as an example. See, you have to proceed to checkout. 1 year you want, See the terms. 3 years. See, if you keep on increasing it, the cost will be also like that. Of course, it will be less. 2 years, 14 plus 2, 14 to 2, 28. Okay. 3 years, 14 to 3, 42. Is it? Yeah. See, okay. Same thing. No offers, nothing. Okay. So it's the same thing. You can select whatever the tenure you want. You can auto renew, disable it or enable it. Of course, you don't do all this in organization. There is a finance team. They have to approve all these things. I mean, since because it's involved cost directly, so simply you can just go there and create a domain. It's not possible. So contact information you have to give. See, the credit card numbers will be there somewhere. Maybe in the next page I can't give all this. So like this, you create a domain. You got what I'm saying, right? So of course I can't do it, but once you create it, it will be there. It will be pending for approval. Once it will take some time. Then it will give the domain to you. So that's about registering domain. Same here also. We have to create an GoDaddy account first. Since we have a AWS account already, so we just created it. So here we have to create a GoDaddy account, and you have to go inside, search for domain, and they'll call you and they'll ask, hey, these are these domain, blah 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 something. They're okay. They'll create a domain for you, and you can able to use it anywhere. Got it? So let's go here. Let's imagine our domain name is ready. Next, what to do? I have a load balancer. I need to route, or I have a server. I need to route it. So what to do? So there is a concept called hosted zones. On the right side, you can click on dashboard. This dashboard will come to you, and see hosted zones. Click on hosted zone. So you have to create a hosted zone here. What is hosted zone first? What is hosted zone is? It's simply, we can say, uh, how to say it, like a hosted zone is something which has your information about your domain, like the routings, how the routes, so how the routing should happen. So all these things, information will be contained, will have inside this hosted zone. So let's say, as an example, let me open Notepad. So first, before hosted zone, let me tell you a concept of domain. www.google.com. This is the main domain. www.dev.google.com. These are subdomains. Why subdomains? Because this is the main domain. Correct? This same domain here also using. So in front of it, remove this www. Sorry, it does not matter really. I just gave it. So even if you give without www, it will work, right? So this is the main domain. If you're using something in front of it with dot something, it's a subdomain. This is a main domain. This will become a subdomain. So like let's see here, aws.amazon.com is the main domain here. us1.console is the subdomain. Dot whatever it is, like that. So that those are the subdomains. Let's say we have like prod.google.com as an example. I'm just showing this. Another subdomain. Why like this is, why we will create subdomains exactly? Of course, we have main domain for our main application for production. Subdomains will be using for different environments. Of course, let's say not prod QA. So like this, we have so many things like this. So that we have, since we have multiple environments, right? Each and every environment will have its own domain name. So that's why they have a main domain for, let's say, production, and remaining subdomains for lower environment. So that for testing purposes and all will be using. So all this information will contain in a hosted zone, because where the google.com should point to, where the dev.google.com should point to, or where qa.google.com should point to. So all these things will be present inside a hosted zone. This hosted zone contains information about all these things. Let's create a hosted zone. The domain name you have to give. Which domain you have to give here is the main domain. You have to give the main domain. Let's say google.com. Of course, we can't give google.com. We can give, it's nothing, but it's already there site. So demo 123456789.0.com as an example. Description, yeah, you can give, no problem. And type, it's showing two things, a public and a private. What is a public? Obviously public means anyone can able to access through the internet your domain, this demo 123. Private means only from within a specific VPC, users can able to access it. So let's say I have a region is maybe Ireland. Let's say, where is it? IRE. Yeah, Ireland. In the Ireland, I chosen VPC. This one. It means whatever the servers are there in here, only they can access this demo123.com domain. Let's say if you want to access demo123 from your browser directly, it is not possible because private hosted zone is only restricted to specific VPCs. So let's say you want to access the domain, so the request has to be go through that VPC to the domain, then only it will access. You can add multiple VPCs like that. See, there is no limitation. But if you observe, you can add only VPCs from within this account only, not other account, because there is no option to add account. See, there is nothing. So like that, what happens is private hosted zone means where you add multiple VPCs. So within that VPCs only you can able to access this domain. What is the point of that? I mean, why I need to have a domain name? Because let's say in organization, even we are also using domain names, private. Why I need them is because my application is an internal application only for my organization. So I don't need to expose the domain name to outside, right? Outside internet. Why I need to expose if it is an internal one? So at that time I'll create a private hosted zone and added a VPCs, multiple, there are 2-3 VPCs. I added it where my application will be deployed. So I deployed it and the application is accessible. They are routing properly. So like that. Then if you want to access internally from browser, how do you access it? We have another networks or our office network communicating with the VPCs, whichever we have added here. So we have enabled the communication between these VPCs. Let's say this some region. So we have enabled the communication with our for our network and this VPC using transit gateway, as I told you earlier. So once the transit gateway communication is done, we have added the route tables to route the traffic, and the firewall also is added. What do you mean firewall? It's a DNS service, as I told you, Route53. DNS have a port number 53, so we have to add that. So like that we are connecting. So this private hosted zone will be useful only if you want to allow the traffic to the domain within the VPC ranges only. That too not other VPCs, only the VPCs which are in this present in this account. If you want to have public hosted zone, simply click it. That's it. Done. So anything is fine based on your requirement. I mean. Now let's create hosted zone. Let it create. Done. And of course you see something, these are some, what are these things? So when you create a hosted zone, there are something concept called records, record sets, records, anything, DNS records we call it, or in AWS terminology record sets we call it. A record set is configuration, actually a very basic configuration on how the traffic should be handled for a subdomain. So let's say demo123 google.com is there. Still we created a hosted zone, right? Did we mention the load balancer anywhere? No. We just created a hosted zone because so that all the information, whatever the domain, will have inside it. We have to keep every information inside of in some place. That's where we created the hosted zone. But still we haven't done anything. That's where the record set comes. Record sets. Where is it? Yeah, record sets. So these records only where we point DNS to our in infra, let's say, wherever it is. It can be S3, it can be S3. We'll see it, don't worry. So like this. So we create something called records. There are DNS records, multiple records available. We'll see in very few minutes, next few minutes. So what happens is, so you created a domain name now. This is your domain name or something, whatever it is. So you need to create a record sets in order to route the traffic. So as I told you, I want 3 domains: dev dot something, my domain name, qa dot something. These are subdomains, right? This subdomain 1 will be pointing to one load balancer. Subdomain 2, this one pointing to another load balancer. This is pointing to main load balancer. Like this, you can able to create a multiple record sets. So these are the default record sets available. So one is which contains your name servers. Name server is where what will be useful simply is to resolve your domain name over the internet. So we'll be using the name servers. I mean, we don't create them, so it's already created for you, so you'll be using it. So name servers, NS. So SOA something is there called state of authority. It means it will contain information about what your domain. We don't delete them. So once it's created, leave them default. So now you can create your own record sets and choose what type of record you want. So then point your IP load balancer IP address, whatever it is. So let's see how to do this. Of course, you can see the button here, create record. Create it. See it open for you. Very easy. So what is the domain you want? So first I want to create for my main domain. So simply if you want to create for main domain, www, that's it. And you see record types. Lots of records are there. See how many are there. But of course, let's discuss what we'll be using in very commonly. There's something called first A record. A. The name itself is A record we call it. Or AA record. CNAME record, MX record, TX record, PTR record, SRV, SPF, NPTR, I don't know what is it. So like this, these are all record names. So the name itself, the first one name itself is A record. What is A record means? If you want point your domain name, let's say my demo dot something whatever domain name to an IP address, you have to choose A record, and of course it will ask you to give the IP address. So what happens when you give this, when you access this domain www.demo123 something, it will try to resolve and it will try to go to the IP address whatever you mentioned. Maybe the IP address belongs to some server, so it will log to server and open the application whatever it is there. Same way if you open IP also, the domain name will open, vice versa. Simply to keep, what we are doing is we are mapping a domain or a subdomain to an IP address with the help of A record. See here, routes traffic to an IP address, IPv4 address specifically. So if you want to have point a domain or a subdomain, anything to an IP address, you have to choose A record. Let's say 10.10.100.1, sorry, 100.1. So this IP address, let's say for some EC2 server, this will point to this one. Create it. Of course we cannot access it, there is nothing, but yeah, see it's created. See demo.com, this is the main domain. Without dub also it will work, don't worry. But since I need to create a routing, so usually we'll give dub, because without www, this domains already exists, sorry, records already exist. See, that's why you have to give the domain. Both are same, don't worry. So type A record, routing we'll see later, and of course the IP address. Now I want to create a new record, create it. My subdomain, maybe dev dot, this is my subdomain, right? Select A record. I want to point to my another server IP address, sorry, 10.10.100.2. That's it. It's just a given IP address. Sorry, did I give 1000? I gave, sorry, I missed the dot. Sorry, my bad. See, 10 dot. It should be work now. See, like this, you can create any number of records. There is no limitation. See my subdomain, my main domain, and of course I'm just creating A record only for now. Let's create one more record. QA record, another subdomain. I want to, let's try dev again. What error will happen? Let's see. A record, let's say 10.10.10.10. let's see, it will throw error because hey, it's exists already. Dev dot the subdomain already exists. You cannot create multiple times, only once. That's why we have to give like that. Now that's why record name should always be unique. I mean, that's what I wanted to show you. So now that's our domain. Let's go to record. Sorry, A record we have seen. AA record. This is to point to IPv6 address. Sorry, let's remove this. So IPv6 address will be like this, some random alphanumeric number. So we never used it. I mean, we don't be using it on regular basis. But yeah, so it will be used for what is it? I forgot. R&D purposes mostly. So general cases we don't use it. But yeah, if you want to point your domain name to an IPv6 address, see, give the IPv6 address. We don't have. Or if you want CNAME, there is something called CNAME record. What is the CNAME is, if you want to point your domain so to other domain, you got what I'm saying, right? If you want to point your domain name to another domain, at the time you can able to use CNAME record. Let's say I have simply here, let's say example.com is there. This is the my old domain. Imagine, let's say my old domain, and I have new domain, this one. So from this domain, I want to point the traffic, route the traffic to this domain, my old domain. At the time, you can create CNAME. CNAME full form is canonical name. Canonical name. So it's like a alias name. We simply call it alias name like this. Got it? So canonical name. So what happens is like we will be uh, with CNAME pointing route the traffic from our domain to another domain. So that's when we use CNAME. Got it? So of course example.com I gave just for sample. Next thing we have MX record. So mail server. If you have configured a mail server, email server, let's say gmail.com. Gmail.com is a domain. Correct, right? Gmail.com is a domain, or outlook.com something, it's a domain. Internally there will be mail servers. So if you want to set up a mail server, you can able to set it up. I mean, so you have to buy something, there's some procedure. Yeah, but that's fine. You have set up a mail server now to send and receive emails. But you want a domain for that. So I'll create a gmail.com or some whatever it is. Like this. Gmail.com will be has to given here, and the mail server address has to given here. So like that, MX record. So these are the major 4 records that we'll be using regularly. I mean, of course, mail server we don't use it, but A, CNAME, these two are the one mainly we use. WWA also I never used so far, let me be honest. A and CNAME I'll be using both. Hey, but you said we need to point our application to load balancer, right? How do you select? Load balancer is a domain, right? It's an endpoint. It's like a domain only, but some random AWS generated domain. Simply click on CNAME. You can paste your domain here, or there is some option called you're observing here alias. Click on alias. Route traffic to choose your endpoint. See, these are all disabled because I don't have it. Or let's say first let's select region, maybe Hyderabad. Choose a domain. There is only one alias to another hosted zone, because let's say there is another hosted zone with some record. If you want to traffic from this route traffic from this record set to that another hosted zone record set, you can select this one. But if you say all are disabled because there is nothing, if you observe here, I hope it's clear for you. Alias to application load balancer classic, alias to network, alias to S3 website, alias through VPC endpoint, alias through cloud friend distribution, there are so many available. So CNAME you can able to use for that. Now in recent days, I think maybe last year or some this year starting, maybe A record also you can able to use to point. See, now it's visible. See, earlier what happened, only CNAME was there. Let me disable it. Sorry, let's select it. Earlier only CNAME was there in order to route the traffic to domain name. But I think start of this year, I believe, I'm not sure. So they updated the A record also. In the A record itself, you can select any of these things. Now you can be able to see clearly. See, you want to select to S3 website endpoint. What does it mean S3 website endpoint? If you enable S3 static website hosting, you'll get an endpoint, right? That one. Choose the bucket. Of course, there is nothing. Let's choose Ireland. I believe we have an bucket in Ireland. But yeah, there is no domain. So like this, you can able to select. You want to have load balancer, network load balancer. Choose region. Choose the load balancer. Of course, there is nothing. You want to have application load balancer or classic. Choose region. Maybe Jakarta. So there's nothing, obviously. Like that, you can able to create. So if you want to point your domain name to resources in cloud, or let's say here also, let me cloud friend, where is this? Yeah, see, you can select it. If you have distribution, you can select it. So if you want to have point your domain name to AWS resources, either you can go for A record or CNAME record, and choose the alias option here. Alias is important. If you remove alias, there is A record just points to IP address. If you enable alias, AWS allows you to choose your endpoints from AWS services. That's why if you observe here, routes traffic to IP address and some AWS services. So they have enabled it. So with A record itself, we can able to point it. So we usually create it. There is a new domain, their new application we're deploying, so we'll be creating a domain. So they'll, I mean, not we, financial team will create a domain, they'll give to us. Once we got it, we'll create a record sets, I mean hosted zone first, and of course record sets, same records like this we'll create, and we'll find to our application load balancer. We find to our S3, sorry, cloud front distributions, our S3, like this we can able to create. Of course we don't have it, so I'm not creating it. So that's about the record types. So as of now we have seen, like, what is hosted zones, record sets inside it, and types of records available inside it. Next thing, something we have, policies. What do you mean policies? There is some concept called routing policies. QA, let's say IP address is fine for now. So there are some routing policies. Where is it? Yeah, see, observe here. What is this routing policy? How to route the traffic. Of course we told route the traffic from the, if someone accesses domain, come to this IP address, route the traffic to this IP address. It's fine. But what is this routing policy again? It means how the queries, how the DNS route has to be configured. What does it mean how? Let's example, I would say I have two servers, and one server is huge one, bigger one, another one is small one. So I have my domain. So obviously huge one I want to send more request, the small one I want to send very less request. How can you do it in the domain level? That's when these kinds of routing policy topics will come. Let's see them. So simple routing, first one. Simple means pretty straightforward. There is nothing. You domain an IP, you map an domain name to IP address. It'll send the traffic. That's it. That's simple. That's simple routing. Next thing we have weighted. This is where we decide. So weighted means, let's say, it will split the traffic across multiple resources by assigning the weights. Let's say the weight of each record is, let's say, um, maybe 50%. So here what's happening is, or let's say choose alias. Sorry, nothing is there. My bad. Sorry. So let's enable alias. Here what's happening is, we will be dividing. You can disable it, enable it. No worries. We are dividing. What is that? Traffic across multiple resources. As I told you just now, I told a scenario, right? So two servers are there as an example. Just two servers are there. One is bigger one, so 80% traffic I want to send to that one. Another 80% traffic I'll be sent to another one. So of course you have to give a load balancer here, obviously. So I don't have it. The record ID of the load balancer. So it will route the traffic based on that. Weighted traffic. That's what we call it. So next thing we have geolocation. This is, yeah, geolocation is there. Geolocation means, I want to route the traffic to specific location. Let's say we are in India, so whatever the traffic is coming from India should go to specific server, I mean specific load balancer, let's say, or specific server. At the time you can use this geolocation. So geolocation, select the location, maybe India. Let's select India. Where is it? India, and give the load balancer record ID here. See here. So you have to give an ID here. What happens is, let's say gen.10.10.10, as an example like this. So what happens is, if the traffic, let's say, if the requests are coming from India, it will go to only this server. So we are creating geolocation policy for that. You got what I'm saying? So if it is only coming from India, it will go to here. If what about other countries? Maybe the traffic coming from US, where it should go? You have to create another record for that. Simple like that. So like that you have to do. That's called geolocation specifically. So if you want to route the traffic based on the user location to you can able to use your location. Next, there is something called latency. What is even latency? We have seen latency things earlier. So latency means the how much time it will take to get the traffic. I mean to receive the traffic to server and to get the open the application for you, access the application for you. That's latency usually. So what is the latency here then? Latency here is, let's say, if I am accessing here, let's say my server is in Australia. I'm just saying my server, my application is in Australia. They deployed there, and I'm accessing from India. What happens? Traveling from here to there, I mean the routing networking obviously will be little slow comparatively if my servers are in Whitefield in Bangalore. So this is faster compared to accessing Australia servers. So what happens is the route latency policy. If you select, let's say, some region, maybe Malaysia, as an example. As an example, I'm just saying. So what happens is when you select this thing, so whatever let's say, yeah, this IP address, this is the server. If the request is came from India, let's say Malaysia, the traffic will be directed to nearest servers. This is the nearest server which we kept. So that what happens, the latency will be low obviously. That's how we configure it. So latency based routing means it will route the traffic to the resource within the nearest to the user wherever he is. Got it? So here what happens is I selected Malaysia. It means if the request is coming from Malaysia, let the request will go to nearest location. What is the nearest location? Maybe, I don't know, Hong Kong near Malaysia, so it will go there. Of course I have my server over there in Malaysia, obviously it will go there. So like that, latency issue policy, not issue, sorry, policy. And we have what is it, failover. This is usually we use it. So failover, you remember, right? Active, passive, active approaches. So failover also similar thing. Primary, secondary will have. If the primary is down, the request will point to secondary. Let's say you have to choose which one is this primary. Let's say primary is selected. I simply create, sorry, some ID. Health check, I don't have it. Something. Use DSF. In your I don't have health check ID. I haven't created it. I haven't discussed it. Idiots. That's okay. It is not allowing health check. We'll see later. Once this is done, I'll tell you what is health check. But yeah, for now, so we failover is nothing but route the traffic to secondary resource when there is an issue with the primary. Let's say this is my one record qa.demo.com 10 dot my IP address, and I selected the record type as routing policies failover, record is primary. I created it. Let's say what happens is it will accept the connections. This primary will accept the connections. Now I'll create another record, same domain. It will accept now because the routing policy is failover, right? So Route53 accept the same domain now. Earlier it did not accept it, right? Now it will accept. So now in the new record I'll select the secondary with some maybe different type address. Let's say 11. Just example. So what happens is this is secondary and primary is other one, right? So if the primary is unhealthy, maybe the server is down for some reason, I don't know, the traffic will be routed to the secondary address, whatever we configured it. That's about the failure. Got it? So is it clear? So that's about the records so far. Sorry, the policies. Sorry, not the records. So it depends on your use case. You will be creating a record. Simple. You will be creating a records. Like first thing, you will be defining the domain in the record, your subdomain. I mean whatever it is, and what type of record you want. And if you want to point to an alias, you have to enable the alias and choose the load balancer, Cloudflare and S3, VPC endpoint. Anything is fine. And you have to give the value here. And once you give the value, where is this record? Sorry, the policies. We haven't created anything, just simple policy. Okay, of course others we cannot create. So the routing policy, finally you have to define routing policy. Simple, weighted, latency, failover, geolocation, So like this. So that's about creating hosted zone, creating domain names, and sorry, creating hosted zones, and creating record sets, creating records. Of course, we cannot access it because we don't have any domain name. I tried to buy domain name today morning, but did not work as expected. Even there are multiple free domains available. I tried to register them also, not really worked. That's okay. That's fine. So that's about it. And of course, yeah, health checks. It was throwing error, right? Do DNS also have some health checks? Just like we have health checks for this one load balancer. You remember? Similar way, DNS also has health checks. We can create this is a old UI. Okay. So create a health check simply. You can give health check name, test health check something, and what to monitor. You want to monitor endpoint. Endpoint means your domain name, or you want to monitor other health checks, or you want to monitor state of a CloudWatch alarm. It's not required. I mean, see, if the CloudWatch alarm is insufficient, it will send an alert to you. Why you want to monitor the alarm again? Of course, but yeah, you want to monitor CloudWatch alarm. Select the region, choose the alarm name, and of course, health check status. When the alarm is insufficient data, the state is unknown, and it will alert to you. It will just send an alert. When alarm state is alarm, it's yeah like this. So it will send an alert to you. So these, but of course, for CloudWatch alarm itself, you create alarm. It's okay. It's not required. So mostly we'll choose for endpoint or other health checks. If you have another health checks where you want to monitor with this new health check, you can able to do it. Or commonly, if you want to monitor your website, let's say domain name google.com, you want to monitor maybe if it is down, so you need to send an alert. Let's see how do you monitor, using an IP address or using a domain name. IP address, of course, you cannot use it. I mean, because IPs will be changing drastically, so you'll be using domain name. What is your domain name? www.gld.com, google.com. Port number 80, path slash. You want to give some path to monitor. It's, I told you, just like how we what is it? How we do load balancer configuration. Same thing. See, like this path, if you have, you can able to give. We don't need a path for Google, I believe. So advanced configuration is something is there. So this is when you want to monitor this interval. Request interval every, that's fast 10 seconds. Fast failure threshold 3. String matching, yes. String matching means if you give some string, it will try to match it. So if it is present, it will say as okay, it's healthy. If it is not present, it is unhealthy. Of course, we don't know what Google have. Let's know. That's fine. Sorry. Yeah. Now, health checker regions means from which regions it will check. So, use recommended. Now, click next. Create alarm. Yes, obviously. If the domain is down, you need to get notified, right? So, create alarm. See, SNS topic. You know what is SNS topic. I don't need to tell. So, create SNS topic, add your mail, subscribe it, you will get something. And for this mail, you will get a notification when this domain is not healthy. Of course, we don't need it now. Let's create health check. Health check is created. Status is unknown. Obviously, it will take some time. As 10 seconds, we have to wait. Let's wait. This is a old UI, very old UI. So try the new console. Let's open it. This is the new one. Still unknown. I think it's enabled. Google.com. Yeah, we are correct. So it will take some time, and it will do the health check. The status will be healthy if it is working. So like that, you can create uh, Route53 health checks also for your application, for your domain name. You may ask why I need to have domain name. I have load balancer or my user servers and everything have health checks, right? So they can give it. But why the hell I need a health check for domain name, you may ask. You know why? Because the other health checks, whatever load balance health checks you have or CloudWatch, health checks you can create, alarms, those things for your infrastructure, for your servers, whatever the application inside it. Not for a domain name. I'm telling specific like a domain name. So these Route 53 health checks we are using for a domain name. Why the domain will be down? It happens. It happens usually. DNS issues usually happen. Like when you open domain name, it won't work. But when you open with IP, the website will open. The application will open. Because sometimes the DNS issue happens. So due to multiple reasons are there. So the issue will happens. Now what happens? The website, I mean the domain name, whatever you have endpoint, won't resolve. The resolving issues happens. At that time, you don't know until you access the application. Correct? But if you have this health checks for a domain name, it will send to, hey, your domain name is not working. Then we'll check immediately, okay, it's not resolving for some reason. What to check, where to check, why it is not resolving, then we'll see it. So like that. Route 53 is for particularly for a domain name, why it is still unknown. Oh, unhealthy. We have to configure something. HTTP. Let's copy this URL. Let's paste it. Let's copy this one. You can edit it simply, I mean obviously. Edit domain name, just simply give this. Let's try. Protocol, okay, I should not include protocol, my bad. Hopefully it should work. Oh wait, Google, let's try another one. Because Google blocked everything nowadays. You can't even use Gmail, to send alerts through Jenkins. It's blocked. Well, let's say that's okay. But you got my point what I'm saying. Correct? You can create a health check for your domain. So yeah, is it clear about Route 53? Any doubts so far? Again, I'm telling you, cloud. This one, health checks are specifically for what? Route 53 health checks specific for domain name, not your servers. Got it? Is it clear? Okay. So I think this is the last topic in AWS today. By today, I think AWS classes are done. So of course, I mean there are so many other things also, but as far as what I know, so I just told you. So tomorrow onwards, same time, 7 a.m. we'll be starting Terraform. Maybe 3 to 4 days it'll take. So we'll see Terraform, okay? And by that time, we'll finish the DevOps. I mean the classes. So yeah, that's it for today. So we'll meet again maybe, you know, tomorrow. Sorry, same time. All right then. Bye all. Bye. Happy Sunday. Today Sunday is right. Bye. Bye.